On this episode of Lapeef, Let's Talk.
YouTube.
Oh, Thailand.
You're doing Thailand.
Okay.
I didn't know what you was talking about.
I thought you meant a person.
Like said Tyler.
I thought you meant Tyler.
I thought you were talking about the rapper Tiger.
Maybe it was just
they going in on you.
Young Money.
I mean, I don't care, bro. I'm waiting.
The hell?
I'm trying something different.
Courtney.
So when Mr. Pookie, when you and I were building, sir, and we were talking about, you know, like Atlanta specifically, and you were talking about people who may be of a certain ethnicity and culture, but then when they get to a certain status, they go experience different things. And what I'm telling you is that's why I brought up the nightclub promoters, because we know who owns at least what's promoted to Black communities in Atlanta specifically is Eritreans. And they don't take their money and resources nowhere near outside of their community.
This other culture based on your proximity. So it makes sense to me. And those times make the most sense to me. You know what I'm saying?
What's your culture? Can you describe your culture for me so I can better understand it? Can you describe your culture that you own so I can better understand what's not mine and what's yours?
No, I'm speaking in terms of white people. You said white people versus Black people is what I'm
saying. I use an example to try to figure out whether or not it was based off of what you look like or based off of your life experiences. So I'm trying to understand, what is your culture, since you said that's not their culture. What's yours? Can you give me some insight?
I believe that your culture is I mean, you don't get to choose it. It's based on who you are. Regardless if you practice what's within it or not. Like, you can just because, okay, you can be Asian and from Thailand or whatever, and you can go to a white school and listen to rock music and blah, blah, blah. That doesn't make you less Asian. That doesn't make your culture less Thai. You are still like, have adapted to another culture of another people. So yes, you've been programmed into this other culture, and that's totally fine. That's what happens to a lot of people when they come to America, and the immigration and all of that. So it makes sense to me why people, you know, date interracially, because proximity. If you live in Oklahoma,
so can you give me an example? It makes sense to me
why you married white. It makes sense to me.
So it come back to the question. You still didn't answer the question. What is your culture, so I can better understand how certain people need to align? Yeah, what's your culture? What does that look like? Paint that picture for me, please.
Well, okay, so there's two levels to it. I'm American, so there's that first, right? We Americans are. It doesn't matter what race you are. You go to another country, they know if you're American, right? Then you have our subculture, which me being, I'm Black, African American, and indigenous, and then I can go into the history of my culture and how my people came to this country for me to be my main culture, which is American. So every person is different, but I am of African descent and American. So there is African American does have its own culture that was created, that Black people created here in this country based on what we brought here from our homeland. And we, you know, we created something. So that's what we have here now. So as a Black person, there is a certain culture that is expected. That doesn't necessarily mean that has to be. It's just like when Black girls say, like, I don't know how to braid. And it's like, what? Like, just because you're Black doesn't mean you know how to braid. But that is something culturally that is a foundation of our culture. So it is assumed that is something that you know of and that you know about. You know what I'm saying? So I think that answers it. But if not, then that's what you get. I don't know.
That's what I get.
Yeah.
What?
Because we tried 3 times. You know, first stop, second stop, third stop. We got to get up.
Well, the first time you froze up.
We came to the home
so we had to come back to it to rewind. All right. The second time you didn't even answer the question. And then the third time you actually added a bunch of nonsense that didn't even mean anything, because it still does not align with based off of what you look like. It's based off of where it is that you were raised and what you normalized. So none of it made sense. So all 3 times, strike out.
Okay.
We can move on. I'm not going to belabor the point.
You don't get it. You don't get it. It's okay.
Yeah, I'll say this too, because I definitely agree that you should align yourself with people of good character, and especially with dating. You can have a preference, but when you say I will never date anyone black and you black, it's like, okay, you know, why say black or white? Just date someone that likes you, that's a good person, good character, good morals. Like, I totally get that. But when we speak about like schools and, you know, proximity, I think matters, where, you know, there's nobody black. So who am I going to date? It's going to have to be someone that's majority there. But speaking about me that has gone to an all-white school, that lived in an all-white neighborhood and was the only black person, it's uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable for me being the only black girl, being looked at, and I had different body shape, different hair, like different things than all the other white girls, and I didn't speak like them. It made me feel a certain type of way where I needed to be around someone that looked like me. And I think that's a legit thing that kids go through, adults go through sometimes. That's why I went to a HBCU, because I wanted to be surrounded by people that looked like me for the first time. And when I was, it made me feel comfortable. Like, I finally felt like, you know, I'm not the oddball. Like, my hair wearing braids and people are not coming in trying to touch my hair because it was a different texture than everybody in my school. It felt comfortable, and it feels comfortable sometimes being around my people. I can't tell you, I go out, everyone's white, and I see somebody black, and I get a little head nod, okay, and the head nod is back. I mean, it's like, okay, I see you, sis. I see you, bro. Like, it is a comfortability when you are around your people. And I think a lot of cultures feel that way. I don't think that's anything bad. It just is what it is.
I'm really struggling, man, because I get it. I know I'm older than y'all, and I'm just
really, nobody knows how old you are, bro.
I know.
Nobody knows.
I know.
You are like
Tommy.
I'm saying,
as far as Rilla's age, he is like Tommy from Martin, bro. Nobody.
This is a fact.
Anything.
This is
Rilla can say anything, bro. Rilla is literally an eternal from Marvel. Nobody knows his age. He just keeps saying he's so much older than the rest of us. We have no idea what you are.
No, the only reason why I say that is because in the chat, when I make certain references, people try and guess and so on and so forth. But I'm really, this whole concept where we having this discussion around cultures and people aligning with certain people and people dating outside of their races and this, then, a third, is the first thing we got to acknowledge is that I hear you, Anton, you say, hey, you know, if you go to UK, they saying the same thing, or if you're in these streams, bro, the internet has it's democratized everything. So I can see. Like, I'm not on Twitch. I'm not in these gaming. I hate playing games. I don't play games, but I do. I hate it. I hate it. But shout out to the gamers. Salute to the gamers. But I have access to those same experiences. Matter of fact, I'm in a rabbit hole right now with Thailand. So I understand what you're saying in terms of
who?
Thailand.
Who?
Bangkok.
The place Thailand.
YouTube.
Oh, Thailand.
You're doing Thailand.
Okay.
I didn't know what you was talking about.
I thought you meant a person.
Like you said, Tyler.
I thought you meant Tyler.
I thought you were talking about the rapper Tiger.
Maybe it was just
they going in on you.
Young Money.
I mean, I don't care. I'm waiting.
The hell?
I'm trying something different.
Courtney.
So when Mr. Pookie, when you and I were building, sir, and we were talking about, you know, like Atlanta specifically, and you were talking about people who may be of a certain ethnicity and culture, but then when they get to a certain status, they go experience different things. And what I'm telling you is that's why I brought up the nightclub promoters, because we know who owns at least what's promoted to Black communities in Atlanta specifically is Eritreans. And they don't take their money and resources nowhere near outside of their community.